हेलो एवरीवन, हम बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन को कंटिन्यू करेंगे। आज हम पढ़ेंगे मोनेरा। देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ मोनेरा, आर्कबैक्टीरिया एंड यूबैक्टीरिया। आर्कबैक्टीरिया, they are different from most bacteria. ऐसा कैसे? Because they live in harsh situations like extremely salty areas, halophiles, hot springs, thermoacidophiles, marshy areas, methanogens. वो कैसे इतना एक्सट्रीम सिचुएशन में वो कैसे सरवाइव कर सकते हैं? वो सरवाइव इसीलिए कर सकते हैं बिकॉज दे हैव अ डिफरेंट सेल वॉल स्ट्रक्चर कंपेयर टू अदर बैक्टीरियाज. Archaebacteria differ from other bacteria in having a different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. Methanogens तो आपको पता होगा, the one which is responsible for the production of biogas. Methanogen also belongs to Archaebacteria. Methanogens, which are present in the gut of several ruminant animals such as cows and buffaloes, are responsible for the production of methane, biogas from the dung of this animal. Gut का मतलब क्या होता है? Gut मतलब intestine. Eubacteria. There are thousands of different eubacteria, which is also known as true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of rigid cell wall and, if motile, a flagellum. उनका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक क्या है? They have a rigid cell wall and if they are motile, मतलब if वो मोबाइल है, वो मूव कर सकते हैं, then they possess a flagellum. The Cyanobacteria, which is also known as the blue-green algae, have chlorophyll, which is similar to green plants and are photosynthesis autotrophs. The Cyanobacteria, जो कि blue green algae के नाम से भी जाना जाता है, have chlorophyll that is similar to green plants and thus can photosynthesize like autotrophs. Cyanobacteria are unicellular, colonial, freshwater marine or terrestrial algae. The colony are generally surrounded by gelatinous sheath. Cyanobacteria और क्या characteristics है उनका? कि they are unicellular, they are colonial मतलब they live in colonies and कहाँ रहते हैं? In fresh water, marine या फिर terrestrial algae है. The colonies are generally surrounded by a gelatinous sheath. उनका पूरा colony is surrounded by a gelatinous sheath. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. वो कहाँ पे form करते हैं? In polluted water bodies. Some of these organisms can fix atmospheric nitrogen in specialized cell called heterocytes. Example इनका है nostoc and anabina. कुछ ये organisms क्या होता है कि वो nitrogen fixation करते हैं in the roots. So इनको बोला जाता है heterocytes. इनका example है nostoc and anabina. ये एग्जाम्पल्स एंड इनका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक वो कहाँ फॉर्म करते हैं, ये सब चीज़ें सारा टर्म्स एक चार्ट बना के याद करना वुड बी ईजियर. मेरे टाइम में मैंने चार्ट बना के उसको ऐसे याद किया था. Chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidize various inorganic substances such as nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia and use the energy for their ATP production. केमोसिंथेटिक ऑटोट्रॉफिक बैक्टीरिया जो होते हैं वो ऑक्सीडाइज करते हैं इनऑर्गेनिक सब्सटेंसेस लाइक नाइट्रेट्स, नाइट्राइट्स एंड अमोनिया एंड यूज दिस एनर्जी फॉर देयर एटीपी प्रोडक्शन. They play a great role in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. The heterotrophic bacteria are most abundant in nature. Heterotrophic bacteria जो होता है वो they are most abundant in nature. The majority are important decomposer. Many of them have an impact on human affairs. They कैसा impact होता है? They are used in the production of curd from milk, the production of antibiotics, fixing nitrogen. but कुछ ऐसा भी होता है that causes damage to humans, like there are some organisms that cause cholera, typhoid, tetanus. The mycoplasma are organisms that are completely lack a cell wall. Mycoplasma organisms कैसे characterize होता है? That is, they completely lack a cell wall. They are smallest living cells known and can survive without oxygen. They are the smallest living cell known and can survive without oxygen. Many mycoplasma are pathogenic in animals and plants. Protista. All single-celled eukaryotes are placed under Protista. Single-celled eukaryotes are placed under Protista. Members of Protista are primarily aquatic. Members of Protista are primarily aquatic. Aquatic मतलब water में रहने वाले. This kingdom forms a link with others dealing with plants, animals, and fungi. Protista is a link between plants, animals, and fungi. Being eukaryotic, the Protistian cell bodies contain a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Being eukaryotic, Protistans क्या करते हैं? They contain a cell which has a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Protists reproduce asexually and sexually by the process of cell fusion and zygote formation. वो कैसे reproduce करते हैं? They can reproduce both sexually and asexually by the process of cell fusion and zygote formation. Chrysophytes. These groups include diatoms and golden algae desmites. Golden algae and diatoms. ये group क्या contain करता है? Diatoms and golden algae, also known as desmites. They are found in freshwater as well as marine environments. Where they are found? They are found in freshwater as well as marine environments. They are microscopic, float passively in water currents, also known as planktons. Most of them are photosynthetic. उनका characteristic क्या है? They are firstly microscopic. They float passively in water current. That is, they are planktons. Most of them are photosynthetic. Most of them are photosynthetic. Dinoflagellates. These organisms are mostly marine and photosynthetic. ये organisms का characteristic क्या है? They are mostly marine and photosynthetic. They appear in yellow, green, brown, blue or red colors depending on the main pigment present in their cell. उनका color कैसे determine होता है? From the pigment present in their cells. The cell wall have stiff cellulose plate on the outer surface. They have a cell wall which have a stiff cellulose plate on the outer surface. Most of them have two flagellas, one that lies longitudinally and the other transversely in a furrow between the wall plates. Very often, red dinoflagellates undergo rapid multiplication that make the sea appear red, that is red tides, जो तुम ये बाजू में पिक्चर में दिखाई दे रहा है. Toxins released by such large numbers may even kill other marine animals such as fishes. इनका ये multiplication से जो toxin release होता है, that can kill marine animals like fishes. Euglenoids are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Euglenoids are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Stagnant water is still water. Instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called pellicule, which makes their body flexible. They do not have cell walls. Instead, they have a protein-rich layer called पेलिसिल. पेलिसिल से क्या होता है उन लोग का? Their body is flexible. Though they are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight, when deprived of sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs by predating on other smaller organisms. Though they are in the presence of sunlight, they are photosynthetic, but when they are deprived of sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs and feed on other smaller organisms. Interestingly, the pigment of euglenoids are identical to those present in higher plants. Example है euglena. Interestingly, जो pigment euglenoids का found होता है, same pigment higher plants में भी मिलता है. Example क्या है euglenoids का? Euglena. Slime molds. Slime molds are saprophytic protists. Slime molds are saprophytic protists. The body moves along decaying twigs, leaves engulfing organisms. Example, Plasmodium. The body move along with decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material. ठीक है? So slime molds are slime molds में क्या याद रखना है? That they are saprophytic. Saprophytic का मतलब होता है कि it's a process in which they obtain food by absorbing dissolved organic materials. They obtain food by absorbing dissolved organic materials. Their body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material. Example क्या है slime molds का? Plasmodium. ठीक है? Protozoans. All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites. All protozoans are heterotrophs. All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites. They believed to be primitive relative of animals. They are believed to be the primitive relative of animals. There are 4 groups of protozoans. Amoeboid protozoans. These organisms live in fresh water, sea water, or moist soil. Amoeboid protozoans can live in fresh water, sea water, or moist soil. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia or the false feet as in amoeba. Some of them, such as ant amoeba, are parasites. They move and capture their prey by putting out the false feet or the pseudopodia as in case of amoeba. Some of them are also parasites. Flagellates protozoans. These members of these groups are either free-living or parasitic. They are either free-living or parasitic. They have flagellas. The parasitic form causes disease such as sleeping sickness. Example, trypanosome. इसको ये examples and उसका spellings अच्छे से याद कर लेना. And MCQs में ये आ सकता है, आपका एग्जाम्स में ये MCQ में आ सकता है या फिर शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस में आ सकता है. Ciliated protozoans. These are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of their presence of thousands of cilia. Cilia is hair-like structure on their outer surface. They have a cavity or a gutlet that opens to the outside of the cell surface. Sporozoans. These include diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. They have a diverse organism that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. The most notorious is Plasmodium, that is the malarial parasite which causes malaria, which has a staggering effect on human population. So Plasmodium, that is the malarial parasites, belongs to sporozoans. Thank you. इसके बाद से हम next video में continue करेंगे.